My name is Chris, and I'm the founder of the Freestyle Farmer. As you can tell, I'm not in Singapore right now. I would have really loved to be there, but I really want to thank Ping Ping for helping to organize this so that I could share a little bit about what we do. So, a little bit about myself. I've been in the food industry for over the past 10 years, working at different capacities from opening a cafe, being a chef, starting a grocery shop, and more recently, being an urban farmer. So over these different industries, I've realized that I got a good snapshot about how the food system works. And I realized that Singapore is actually very, very fortunate. We are ranked one of the top few food secure countries in the world. Food is very accessible, very affordable, and there are low rates of malnourishment. And this is partly because of very good policies where we import from wide number of countries, and it's a very good strategy to diversify and spread our eggs across different baskets. But at the same time, we are facing some issues internally. Over time, the food that we've eaten is starting to cause health issues with critical illnesses like diabetes, heart disease, and cancers, very, very much related to food. And we are also starting to face some potential challenges with global warming, rising sea levels, and increasing urbanization, where all these might indirectly affect the countries that are growing our food. And at the same time, because we currently have a very well-oiled system, we have very little farming in our country. Only 1% of our land is farmland, and this wasn't the case before. We used to be an agricultural country, and what we are currently producing locally and consuming is not very significant, especially if you look at vegetables. We're only at 3% local consumption, and this number is dropping with local farms facing challenges like high operating costs and consumers not really aren't willing to pay more for their food. But despite all this, there is a bright side, because with the other 99% of all land that we have in Singapore, a big part of it is green areas. This is our parks, our nature reserves, and a big part of that is buildings that are landscaped. So they have either vertical greenery or rooftop terraces or even on the ground floor. And there are a lot of good policies around this that enables our cities to be literally a city in a garden. And over the past few years, I've been working on projects and involving urban farming where areas like rooftops have been converted from landscape areas to productive food gardens. This is a local company called Edible Garden City that were one of the pioneers in doing so, and this is in Raffles City Mall. Also, there are more and more ground-up initiatives. This is a company called Ground-Up Initiative, literally, and they do community projects where they galvanize the community and teach them how to grow food. So what we do is very similar. We really believe that by having people take ownership of their own food supply, they are able to then be more resilient and self-sufficient, because you can't just rely on that 1% of farms, and they are not going to be able to feed all of us, especially in times where we really need to. And ultimately, we think that by people enjoying this lifestyle, they would want to do more of it, and overall that will improve their well-being. So we have three main areas: grow, cook, and craft, that I'll explain a little bit more in detail. Under grow, we want to showcase different methods of growing that are beneficial for the environment. Starting with agroforestry, it is a method of growing things in layers. It also is about having diversity of things that are being grown. With more diversity, there is going to be more resilience in the system. And for conservation, we do want to ensure that we preserve and conserve biodiversity as well. If you look at the first photo, it is a tracker where we're able to observe how when we start a garden, different insects like butterflies and bees and ladybugs actually come into the space and how they're attracted by some of the things that we grow. We also want to use natural or organic farming practices, which means no harmful chemical pesticides or fertilizers are used. And thirdly, with what we're doing, we're hoping to change the perception of how a garden or farm might look, because people might sometimes be turned off. They might worry about the farm not looking or looking messy. But we think that with good design, it can look beautiful, and it can also be very functional and productive. So the second photo is an example of how we're able to layer different things and allow plants to look good all year round, and just be able to be on top of this overall design. So I always get asked this question, what can you grow in Singapore? Actually, we're very, very fortunate because we are living in the tropics. It's very warm and sunny all year round. So we can grow different kind of culinary herbs, edible flowers. Sometimes we intentionally plant certain plants that attract pollinators like butterflies, because they do help in the production of other vegetables and fruiting crops. And the approach of designing a garden, there's two styles to it. One is a very modular, easy to set up, Lego-like style, where we have certain prefabricated planters that we can just easily assemble and put together. Or if you want something more curated, we can do a design that is much more bespoke, using more special materials. And we do want to bring people through this journey of understanding everything right from the get-go. And understanding our environment is very important because plants need certain requirements of sunlight. And in Singapore, even though we are in the tropics, actually the sun changes position throughout the year. And so we help to ensure that our clients have the right amount of sun that fits the plants that we recommend them to grow. For example, in months that do not have sun, we would recommend them to grow other kinds of plants. And we are very specific about what can be grown so that there are no gaps in knowledge. The second area that we look at is cook. I think Singaporeans, we love to eat, and it's very important that once people try it, they get really, really surprised at what the potential for these produce can be. We really want to champion local and native produce, and the main reason for that is it's easier to grow, it's suitable for our climate, and we don't have to ship stuff from far away. And the flavors are actually very, very robust, and it's a pity that we aren't consuming enough of this. We also want to share about how we can recycle and reduce food waste, which also is about education. We need to show people that multiple parts of a plant can be used. Usually we're just using one part of the plant and then we're throwing away the rest of it. Okay, and if we want to make things relatable to people, we need to explore more, recipes and techniques that people are interested in and people are comfortable doing. So yeah, we also share techniques that cover both traditional and modern cooking methods. And thirdly, we are also focusing on craft. And I know you might be thinking, okay, but this is a farm project that you guys are doing. What does craft have to do with it? I think that this is very important to inspire people's imaginations. And even if people might not be home cooks or they might not want to garden, but at least they might still be open to doing art and craft. So we are covering different areas like how do we grow things that can eventually become fabric, things like cotton. How can we create pigments from natural coloring? Like in the photo on the left, you see the yellow color, which is created from turmeric. Yeah, it's a spice that we eat. And we just want to unleash people's creativity and help them to see the connection between the things that you grow and what you can do with it. So how do we present these ideas and concepts to people? There are two main ways. The first is through a garden-based program. So whether you're a school, whether you're a corporate, if you have a suitable space that allows us to grow certain things. We can then do a long-term program that covers many sessions that teach you how to grow and eventually how to utilize the produce. This is one example. Um, we did this with a school where we covered two different programs with them. Ultimately, yeah, teaching them skills about ecology, about farming, and food preparation. And eventually, they served all this food in a really nice event, and looks really amazing. For hotels, restaurants, and cafes, something that is also very relevant. We can create a garden that can be, useful, not just from the produce that can be used in the bar or the kitchen, but also it can be a very good engagement point for the guests to understand more about how sustainability can be done right at their doorstep. And for brands, that's also something that is very powerful. We can engage the customers in a different way. So, for example, Nespresso coffee company, they wanted to show how their coffee recycling program was being done. So we collaborated and we showed them that you can actually utilize the coffee grounds and turn them into fertilizer or compost that can be used back in the garden. We did a similar program with Volvo. And other than the garden-based programs, if you don't have a garden, that's fine as well. So we do have our own sites. We have one at the rooftop of Singapore Expo. And over there, we open this for public workshops. We have over a dozen different workshops. And corporates can also come in and bring your clients over or bring a team over. This is the one at Midvale City. It's a more indoor environment, more comfortable with air conditioning. And so as I end off, I just want to share a little concept about this thing called ecological succession. So what happens in nature is that if you leave a bare ground, this bare soil, over time, the first guys that will want to be there is grass. They will find a way to populate that bare soil and cover it. And over time, larger and larger plants would naturally find their way there. Eventually, it will become a lush forest, maybe over 100 or 200 years. And I think that nature has this really amazing way to build resiliency and diversity. And so far, after this 10 years of being involved in the food system in Singapore, I've seen this movement grow. Right now there's actually a few thousand community gardens in Singapore, and many of them are growing food. Similar for schools, most of the schools have some form of farming program. And so more and more, it's actually becoming very heartening to see this. And I hope that eventually, someday, Singapore would have so many of these gardens, and it really becomes just a way of life. People don't even think about it, but they're harvesting some herbs, trading them with their neighbors, and yeah, it's just going to be amazing. This last slide is just sharing one of the examples of what we did for a home client with just a very, very narrow strip of soil. When they first moved in, we had nothing in it, but in just a few months, we turned it into a very productive garden. It was producing so many vegetables and fruits, and it's been so immersive for their children. We've also done some educational stuff with them. So overall, it's just such a great way to live, having the full experience of nature right at your doorstep. So thank you so much for hearing me out and ramble on. If any of you are interested in having a activity with us or want to just be connected, here is our information, and looking forward to seeing some of you. Thank you.